Hello and welcome to Say Yes to You and Why You Don't, for women who are great at saying yes to others, but not always as great at saying yes to themselves. I am Claudia Braun, mindset and lifestyle coach for women who don't always say yes to themselves in the way they're saying yes to others. I am so happy to be here with you today, and today we are talking about freedom. So I figured, what better topic, given we are going into the 4th of July holiday weekend, and this is a time of celebrating freedom. And I want to talk about that internal feeling of freedom. And before we launch into that, I want to make sure that you have liked and subscribed to this podcast, and do access your free download at www.freebie.claudia-braun.com to get your 3 strategies to say yes to you. And it will walk you through a practice for being able to identify ways in which you don't always say yes to yourself, and how to do things differently so you start to feel different. So this idea of freedom, and I see it as our own personal freedom, because this holiday more than any signifies what the founding members of our country were about, which was giving the individuals the right to choose. The country was founded by people who were feeling their own persecution in the countries they came from. They came here to experience liberation, to experience freedom, to experience their own unique desires, to feel emancipated from somebody telling them how they should be and what they should do. And so I see this as the reminder to each one of us to really step up for our own freedom, our own ability to claim our right to choose. And to me, that is freedom. It's choice. It's being willing to decide what is right for us, not based on somebody else's external idea of what we should be doing or how we should do things, but really from a place of being able to step up for what is right for us. And so many times I see people not doing that, and I know this was true in my own life some time ago, of making choices based on how I thought things should be, or based on expectations, societal expectations of what it meant to be doing right action. So this time really invites us to go inside and see on a daily basis, where are we taking personal choice? Where are we saying yes to things that are really important to us? Where are we exercising our own personal freedom? And that could be in the clothes we wear. It can be in the way that we have dialogues with people in our family, the way we have dialogues with our children, the way we have dialogues with our pets. All of it is based on your own personal idea of what feels right for you, and that is personal freedom. It is not based on what somebody else is telling you how it should be, how you have to live your life. And that place of freedom means that you wake up feeling ease. You wake up feeling excited, engaged. because you're making choices that feel in alignment with who you are, not based on how somebody else thinks that you should be. I know that when I first was starting to make choices in my life, and I remember in my 20s, and I was doing things that were so based on how I saw my mother doing things. I remember I was in a relationship and I was thinking, oh my gosh, like what I'm doing is kind of how I was programmed to do things. That it was my job to make sure that I was making sure that he was taken care of. And not necessarily asking myself, how was it affecting me? Or was that really what I wanted to do? And not giving myself permission to have my own idea about things, because I thought my role was to get along, to be easy to be with, to be agreeable. And that, for me, really ignited a place of feeling that I no longer had choice. There is nothing wrong with being willing to be agreeable with somebody because you aren't that attached to it. It doesn't really matter to you. It's not that important. But if that's always the way you are, and you don't give yourself permission to actually care about something that might be different, radically different than what somebody else does, and you don't give yourself permission to know that because you don't want to be disagreeable, to me that feels like a prison, because then you're always trying to second guess what choice you should make, what choice to make so somebody else isn't upset with you, isn't disappointed with you. And that is where you no longer are at choice. And that is where you no longer feel at ease in your own life, because you're always looking for how you should be. And I'm working with my clients, we always talk about this languaging. How are you languaging things? Because when we are putting shoulds on ourselves, I should do this, I should be this way, they're expecting this. Those are all indications to me of not from your own desires, your own personal decision. It's based on somebody else's idea of how you should be. And here's the thing, nobody knows how you should be except you. And that only comes from a place of being willing to experiment, explore, giving yourself permission to find out, what do you like? What is important to you? How do you want to do things? And so many times I've had the experience in working with clients people saying, oh, my husband wouldn't like that, or I do that because my husband really likes that. Never giving themselves the opportunity to really go inside and say, do I like that? And many times in a relationship, we may choose to do things because our partner enjoys that. But there's a difference between doing something because your partner enjoys it and you don't mind, to constantly doing that and you do mind, but you don't give yourself permission to say it. I had a client that I was working with around weight loss. She really wanted to lose weight, and she would discover this pattern in our work together, that Monday through Friday she was fine. Then she and her husband would go away for the weekend, and she would gain all the weight back that she had lost over the week. And she's like, I'm not really sure what happens. So I'm like, okay, all right, let's break this down. Let's find out what's happening. And as she explained, she realized, oh my gosh, we go away, we go to our house, our lake house, and he really likes to watch TV, and he really likes to eat snack food, and we spend a lot of time sitting in front of the TV set, snacking, eating, and I just do it. I don't really even question it. I just go ahead and do it. And what she came to realize is that she never really has given herself permission to see what that was doing to her, and didn't give herself permission to make a different choice. So, as we talked about in the first podcast, is the first step to change is always awareness. And she was pretty unaware of what she was doing. And that was why she began her work with me, because she couldn't figure out why she couldn't lose weight. And when we helped her get clarity to realize what she actually was doing, she was able to start making different choices. Freedom. And from that discovery, she realized, okay, there were certain things she was okay with, but there were certain things that she realized if she wanted to really reach her goals, she needed to make some shifts, and she needed to get honest, because she wasn't honest with her husband. She just took care of herself the way she needed to with her plan during the week, but when he was involved and he, in her mind, was affected by her plan, suddenly she couldn't do her plan. And she came to discover that it perhaps wasn't so black and white. Perhaps she could start to figure things out, in that there could be a way that she could have time with her husband and also get her own needs met as well, and not necessarily have to throw away all that she had worked for during the week before. So again, it comes back to this place of choice, freedom, awareness. We have to know that we are feeling imprisoned because we are not giving choice to ourselves. And, we think of being in prison as an external thing, but we can put ourselves in prison. And that prison is where we don't allow our minds to go there, to go to what it could be like, what we actually do want, what our vision is, because we're afraid that maybe we won't get it. It might upset people. It might stir up the status quo. And know that when you're in a system that's functioning in a certain way and you start to discover that, hey, maybe I need to exert a little bit more personal freedom and I'm not, you will shift things. But that doesn't mean you don't take action. It just means that things are going to change. And being able to stay safe and personal freedom really cannot coexist completely. Because you think about the freedom that we have won as a country, the independence that we won, did not come from people staying safe. If they had just gone along, they wouldn't have experienced the freedom that they were able to claim. And it started with themselves being willing to say, this is not okay with me. I want something different. I believe in something different. And I believe that something different could happen. And I'm willing to do what it takes for that to happen. And I know, because I've experienced it in my own life, that willingness to see things differently gives us the ability to know, what are the steps? What is the thing I need to know? Because, again, we don't take action until we have the awareness. Until we have clarity of mind, we're not in a place to make a choice to take action. It starts within our mind. And when we trap ourselves into believing things have to be a certain way, we keep ourselves away from freedom, away from the desires that we want for ourselves. And so this is the reminder. What is the freedom that you want to claim for yourself, that you're not currently claiming for yourself, and that could make the difference in your own life in the way that you want it to? And it can start with such a small thing. Maybe you don't give yourself permission to read a book. Maybe you make yourself be that busy, gotta get stuff done, can't take a break, no time to slow down when you know, there's that line, you're like, you have time to sleep, time to rest when you die, or only time to rest, only time to take a break is when you go on vacation, but you never give yourself vacation. You know, it's like, if you're keeping yourself in that mindset where there's never time to slow down and do the things you love to do, that's a sense of personal prison. No freedom in that, no choice in that. You can be the driver. You can be the person in control who never gives yourself a break, and then no freedom. So I hope that today you start to ask the question, what is the freedom that I need to claim for myself that I'm not? Am I not giving myself time for myself? Am I not giving myself time to even realize that I have no time for myself? Am I not giving myself permission to be creative, whether it is to paint or draw or do a garden or do ceramics or photography or make interesting food or write or whatever is your creative expression. But if you're constantly working and busy and doing, there's never any time for creative expression because that feels very frivolous. So where is it that you could start to let the crack of freedom start to ring in your life and start to bring more joy and personal expression and space and expandedness? Because the opposite of freedom is tight and closed and constricted and worried and fearful. Freedom is expansive, it's joyful, it's open, it's expressive, it's unlimited possibilities. That is freedom. And if you're not feeling that sense of joy, unlimited possibilities, what's going to happen next in a fun, expectant way, you might be saying to yourself, you know what, I don't give myself much freedom. I keep myself kind of tight and constricted. And if that's the case, what is the thing, the shift, the desire that you have? And I am a big fan of starting small. I tell my clients, if you want to make change in your life, no matter how big, you have got to start small. Making these changes is not a sprint. It's a marathon. You're in it for the long haul. You're in it to change your life, not just for a short explosion and then go back to humdrum, prison, tight, constricted life. If you want freedom, you want expansiveness, you want joy, you want possibilities, you need to do it in small incremental changes. And it starts with a willingness to get curious about what's going on. And I refer back to what I started with, is that if you haven't downloaded the 3 strategies to own your yes, I invite you to do that, because those 3 strategies to own your yes will help you begin this journey. And this journey is so important to saying yes to yourself. and yes to the possibilities and the creativity and the expression that is possible for you. So I look forward to your comments, to what you have heard, to what you have gotten from this experience, what you've gotten from listening. And I love your comments. Keep posting them. And if you haven't accessed the free download, the 3 strategies to say yes to you, now's the time. www.freebie.claudia-braun.com to get your 3 strategies to say yes to you. I am Claudia Braun, mindset and lifestyle coach for women. Great at saying yes to others. Not always it's great at saying yes to themselves. And I look forward to being with you next week. Bye for now.